Google Cloud and AI and Data Summit. And what I want to do is hit on one announcement in particular, and that is some changes that were made to BigQuery. So first of all, BigQuery is a fully managed data warehouse that is SQL based, that is real time using large data sets. There's also an element called BigQuery Omni that goes across. It is a multi-cloud offering that goes across AWS and Microsoft Azure that I think is pretty big. But what the company did is they introduced what is essentially what is called BigQuery editions. And what they brought out was 3 different versions of this, moving away from an all-you-can-eat option. So they have the standard, they have enterprise and enterprise plus. Standard is better for ad hoc development, test workloads. Enterprise is for more production workloads for security, governance, machine learning, and data management integrated. And then the plus is really about high mission critical workloads, demand the highest uptime, availability, and recovery in highly complex regulatory needs. This to me indicates a maturation of Google Cloud, and I love it. What this means, I mean, anytime you see somebody do segmentation, it is that they recognize that the business is so big, we cannot peanut butter spread this. Adding the potential complexity of 3 different versions optimizes profits and gives customers what they want to pay for. And if you look at the pricing, the Enterprise Plus is 2.5 times the expense of Standard. And that makes sense when you're developing ad hoc testing workloads. You don't need all the bells and whistles that Enterprise Plus provides you. They also added things like auto scaling, which is nice, which is essentially nothing more than you only pay for what you get, right? And I really liked the way that the company outlined who could use this, right? Retailers having these spiky workloads, maybe scaling a few hours a few times a year. I've always used retail as a really good use case, particularly on the transaction side, based on that workloads. Analysts compiling quarterly reports, startups managing unpredictable needs at the beginning, digital natives putting in variable demand, healthcare during seasonal outbreaks. So hats off to Google Cloud and their day-to-day. They had 2 or 3 more announcements, but I thought that this was the most important one out there. And is, if nothing else, we've seen Google do use data as a land and expand into more of the pedestrian type of workloads.
Well, if it says anything, Pat, I plan to stand up our data warehouse on BigQuery at Futurum and the Futurum group.
So you've made that decision?
I have.
Wow.
I made that decision. So, the company does a lot of things right, and when it sort of gets disproportionate attribution and credit for what it's been able to do for AI and analytics, that stands true. And our new CTO agreed that that's the right platform. I thought some of the interesting announcements came around Looker. I thought driving its business intelligence. It was a small acquisition for Google at $2.6 billion. But the continued advancement in that particular area, it's not just about being able to warehouse the data; it's about being able to visualize the data, and also just like the general kind of auto scaling capabilities. I thought were really impressive. I think it's interesting. This week, I don't know if you heard, Pat, but Google kind of went out and made some claims about Microsoft. Feeling that there's some antitrust and interesting. And while that's not specific to this data and AI summit, it is kind of interesting.
Related.
It is kind of related right now that one company feels like it's playing a little bit more fair and the other one is playing a little bit less fair. I'm not saying, I haven't read into it too much yet, but what I will say is I feel like Google's been very, very focused on advancing its product, advancing its technology, being focused on giving customers what they need, being price competitive. And I think that, while Thomas Kurian needs to get this thing to profitability, I think he's got some runway left to do that. But I also think building the best moats for certain capabilities. And I mean, what better place to be right now, Pat, than AI?